Hey guys, and welcome back to College Life 101. Today we're going to be trying out a new segment called Dorm Room Discussions, where we're going to talk about whatever's been on our mind. If you like it, go ahead and leave a like down below and leave some comments for any future ideas or ways to tweak this to make it better. So, you moved this week.
Yes, moving.
How did that go? Well, moving. How was that going?
It was off to a rough start. I think it took me a good 5 business days to actually move into my apartment from the day that I thought I was going to move in. 5 business days. Business days. Over a weekend, so 7 days to actually start moving in and get the keys to the apartment that I had picked and put the deposit in for and all this stuff, because they had to they're in the middle of redoing all the carpets, so we couldn't get the keys while they were doing that. And which is nice because now I got new carpet, but pain in the ass. So this is my 3rd apartment complex in 2 years. And so the first apartment complex we lived in, it was a very last minute move. We wanted to get off campus, me and my current roommate. And we found this really cheap place right across the street from campus. It was really sketch. But you know what? We liked it. We're it's kind of ghetto, but it's okay.
It's cool for us.
And so we lived there for a good while, and then somebody tried to come into our apartment when I was home alone, and I freaked out. So we found another apartment complex who we had saved up the money to cut our contract short and pay it off, but we had found another apartment complex that was partners with the company that owned this apartment complex. So we got to transfer our lease. So we just had to pay a transfer fee and then the remaining rent and whatever. And so that was a whole lot cheaper than we thought. And we moved in. This place was really nice. It was quiet. It was a little bit farther from school, but I had a car at this point, so it didn't really matter. But apparently this other apartment complex, usually when you move out and if there's damages, they'll bill you. And usually it goes to collection. It goes to a collection agency and they start telling you that, hey, you owe this company money.
Yeah, a certain amount of time. And
so it's been a good year since I've lived there. Apparently I owe them $15. 15 whole dollars that they never sent to collection, so I never knew. And since then they have been bought out by a different management company. So they don't have a record of me owing them $15, but it's on my credit report that I owe this apartment complex $15. That was that. And then finally, over the weekend, we all got approved, except I didn't get the approval email because they had the wrong email. So I didn't know I got approved. Everybody else was still getting approved. And then they called me at sometime on Monday and they're like, yeah, you got approved. Did you get the email? I'm like, no. And of course they'd sent all the emails of the things I had to sign to not an actual email. So they had to change the email in the system and resend me everything and I had to sign it all. And then on that date, they finally gave me my address, my number and the address to the place.
How did they not give you, how did they assign the unit?
I know what unit I had, but I didn't know the address of the place because the address of the office and the address of my unit is different.
That doesn't make any sense.
The office is something, the street name, and then it's a different street name for my unit.
That doesn't make any sense.
Right? Before I got my keys, I had to get proof of insurance, which was easy. I just called the insurance company and was like, hey, print out this. And they're like, we emailed it to you, so there's that. I turned on the power. They just emailed that to the apartment complex themselves. And then this is the first time I've ever had to do water outside of an apartment complex. The last 2 places would just read my meters and bill me for it on my rent. So I called the water company and I was like, hey, this is my address. Can you turn on the water? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, okay, I need this connection letter, proof of connection letter, emailed to my company or the apartment complex. And they're like, well, we can email it to you, ma'am. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So they were like, okay, blah, 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 got everything set up. And they had said that they emailed me. So 30 minutes passed. Still didn't get an email.
I bet it's in your junk mail.
You know what? Turns out, I checked and I have it in my email.
Of course you do.
It sent to me 5 minutes after I had left to go to the water place. So my ass went to the water place, to the water company, stood in line to go to the one lady, there's one of them, and was like, can you print me out a proof of connection letter? And she's like, oh, I have it noted in here that we emailed it to you. And I was like, cool, can I just have the letter, please? And so she gave it to me. I brought it to the apartment complex, and I didn't do something specific with my renter's insurance. I didn't make my apartment complex an interested, like, or a person of interest or a company of interest on it, and I don't even know how the heck that would, like, how the heck to do that. So I literally told the guy, I was like, I don't know how to do this. Can you do this? And he's like, yeah.
Listening to this gives me so much anxiety.
I'm sweating thinking about it. Like, my armpits are sweating.
Gross.
And then so when we had toured the place, the locks on it they were like hard to open.
Mm-hmm.
So they just went and replaced the entire locks, but they didn't give me the right keys. So I went there and I couldn't get the keys open. So I doodled my way back to the office and was like, these keys don't work. So then we drove the golf cart over there and she tried them and she's like, you're right. And I'm like, yeah.
I love when that happens. It's like, hey, this doesn't work. And like, oh, okay. And they go do it and it's like.
They're like, you're right, it doesn't work. And I'm like, really?
You don't say.
So the maintenance guy was like, oh yeah, those aren't the keys anymore. We changed out the locks. Here you go. And so I got my new keys and then it was all fine and dandy. And then I had my apartment.
All this is to
know how to
say,
do their jobs.
guys, if you're gonna move into a real apartment, you need to make sure that you turn on your power and water 3 days before you're actually supposed to move in. So then you don't have this whole situation. Make sure you have your renter's insurance roughly 3 days before you move in as well. So then you don't end up like Ashley in this situation.
Also, there is an activation fee for power, water, and renter's insurance. You have to pay a premium when you start. So some dollars there. And there's a deposit.
Did you not know this though?
Okay, I did know, but I knew power was gonna be like $40, and it was. But water was $160 because of my credit score, I think. So my credit's bad, guys. Don't beat me. Don't get a Victoria's Secret credit card and forget that you have it.
Please tell me that you paid it since last time.
I have paid it since last time. It is all current. There's no money on my Victoria's Secret credit card.
Oh my gosh, I thought that you had not paid it since you and Becca went shopping. I'm about to say, are you serious?
No, I have. It was before that.
So that's why I just got all my stuff to naturally just come out of my bank account, so I don't have to think about any of that crap. So those are some of the pains that come with living in a real apartment.
Yeah.
I mean, like.
Real apartment.
But like, living in a real apartment is also really cool because you get to do practically whatever.
Yeah,
you don't have like any like stipulations or like you can't open this or you can't do this. And a lot of apartments, well, there are apartments that you can get unfurnished.
Yeah.
But real apartments, you can furnish them yourself. So then you get to put your own style and design.
Which is really nice.
Especially, it's all about what you want to do. I mean, like if you're gonna be in college or you just graduated college and you don't plan like you're gonna be in the area for the next. I'd say you shouldn't get a real apartment if you aren't gonna be in the area in the next like 2 to 3 years. If you don't feel like you're gonna be there for that long, don't really get a real apartment. Especially don't try to get a furnished apartment unless you know exactly where you're gonna move to, so you can bring all that crap with you.
Yeah.
But moving with a lot of stuff is
a pain in the butt. It sucks.
Like moving with furniture really sucks.
Like all I have is a box spring and a bed, like a mattress. I mean, I have other stuff, but even just moving that is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, because you have to find some way to get it there.
But it's nice because you can have as many roommates as you want. Like you don't have like overages on certain things. Like you have to pay cable and stuff. That's another thing that you're gonna have to do.
Get that set up beforehand too.
Yeah,
or at least
because you can buy the box and stuff before you have the apartment and just tell them what day that you're moving in.
And they'll come and install it.
Yeah, they'll come and install it, or you can just go get it and install it yourself, and then you call a number and they're like, yeah, it's activated.
If you're gonna have a real apartment, you're gonna have to make time to set these things up. Just clear out your whole day because they're never gonna show up on time.
No, they will never show up within that 4-hour window.
Yeah, they're never gonna show up on time. Or if they do, it's gonna be right there at the end unless you're the first person that's on the list that day.
I like it so much better than living on campus though. I never lived in student housing, like student apartments.
I lived in student apartments.
But every time I think about it, it just looks like a scam.
Okay, so student apartments, they're good and they're bad. I feel as if when you're in college, if you aren't particularly ready to take those steps, freshman year, I don't suggest that anybody move directly into student apartments because you're not going to do anything that you're supposed to do. But I definitely say that if you're a freshman, then you live on campus. It gets you better acclimated to the campus, your surroundings, and people like that. Because if you just move into a student apartment, just the way that it's set up, you probably aren't hang out with all that many people except for your roommates.
Yeah.
Then if you're ready after your freshman year, sophomore year, you can do a student apartment.
Yeah, I think that would it's a good like bridge in between like paying your bills every month and doing
it gets
this.
it makes you more responsible because you're coming straight out of high school. Like, it's a lot of growing up you got to do.
So much growing up.
It's a lot, yeah. And I would.
You do a lot in the 3 years too. You grew up a lot in the 3 years.
Because I would definitely not suggest that you move directly into either A, student apartment, or B, a real apartment, because that is just
too much.
Yeah,
too much for me.
it goes from you not having to do anything essentially in high school, like your parents taking care of everything, to where you have to worry about paying your cable, make sure that you have your water covered, make sure that you have your rent covered, make sure you have your renter's insurance covered, make sure that if this breaks, then you can get it fixed, make sure that you got this and that. It's a lot. So I definitely suggest that you go from on campus to student apartment to real apartment if that's what you want to do. If you want to live on campus all 4 years, go at it.
Yeah, especially at our campus, we have some like apartment style dorms on our campus that people have lived in for their 5th senior year. So like that's more than awesome. But I plan on being here for a while. My little sister's also moving in with me, so getting an apartment just
made sense.
Yeah, it just makes sense. And I have all the furniture anyway, so it's not like I need a place that's already furnished. So
yeah. But student apartments are nice because, as she said, talking about being furnished, a student apartment's 9 times out of 10, almost 10 times out of 10, they're gonna be furnished for you. Now, there are drawbacks to student apartments. Is if you do go into a student apartment and you have people that you have in mind that you want to live with. Rule number 1: if you're gonna live with somebody freshman year or sophomore year, don't move in with your best friend from high school. You're not gonna be best friends by the end of it. But if you move in, once you move in, then if you don't have anybody in mind, they're just gonna pair you up with some people, and it can really work out.
And it can also really not work out.
The benefit of having I guess the drawback to living in a student apartment versus on campus, if you aren't really meshing well with your roommates, is that you can't switch in your apartment. Like, that's it. For most places, I know that once you're there, that's where you're at. Like,
unless there's like extreme circumstances, like you're threatened or something by your roommate, you cannot switch like rooms. You can't switch to another unit because they're trying to sell those to other people.
Exactly.
It's like a lease. You sign a lease for that room. So.
Literally, it's like you sign, just like for a regular apartment, you would sign for a lease to say that you're gonna live there for 12 months. But for a student apartment, you're signing the lease, and instead of you owning the whole apartment, you just own your room.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I mean, I liked it initially at the time. I mean, it was good for serving the purpose. It was a good stepping stone for me becoming more responsible. But I definitely wouldn't suggest, like, I wouldn't recommend that anybody live in student apartments for long periods of time because it's just
it's expensive to have that room in the bathroom.
It's expensive
because you're renting the furniture too and the room.
Yeah.
You're renting just the room and like the common places and the furniture inside of it too.
So like you're paying normally for student apartments, you're gonna look at, well, depending on where you're at, it's gonna be anywhere from $500 to $700.
Yeah.
Roughly, right there in that ballpark. But the issue with student apartments is that you're paying $700. Honestly, you're really paying $700 for the ability to be able to walk away, to where if you just let's say that you move down to 300 miles away from where your home is, and then you aren't sure about the school, you move into a student apartment, and then you decide that you don't want to be in that student apartment and you want to go back to the school that's closer to home.
Yeah. You
can just get up and walk away from everything that's in there, and you take the stuff that you brought with you, you leave all the furniture, all the washing and drying machine, you don't have to worry about getting rid of any of that stuff, you just get out.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. But there is, like, of course, the drawbacks of you do pay $700. So if you do feel like you're gonna be in that area for a long time, then it probably is gonna be better for you to get a real apartment.
Yeah, because $700 for a room.
Exactly.
And my 2-bedroom apartment that I was just in was $750 a month.
Exactly. So like that.
And that's like total rent. So me and my roommate split it.
And that's where getting a real apartment is better than having a student apartment there that you can split rent, and it's pretty much always going to be cheaper, even though you have to pay your own utilities, your own water, and all that kind of stuff. They can't just kind of throw these charges on you and say that you owe this. And
right, that you have overages.
You can't just really rebuttal it. There's plenty of benefits, there's plenty of drawbacks but a student apartment is a good stepping stone. I mean, I lived in it with 3 other guys, and it was cool for a
Yeah.
while. I mean, like, then you have the issues of because somebody else signs a lease, right? You only own your room. They own their room. So technically, because the way that student apartments work, since y'all don't split the rent, you can't really have a say in what goes on in the apartment as much. Because it's not like, hey, we're splitting this rent evenly.
Let's make a compromise.
Let's make a compromise. It's like, I'm paying for my stuff, but you're paying for your stuff. So if they want to do something inside that apartment, they have every right to do it. And that's more of where I found that I didn't like student apartments anymore, because there's that kind of stuff going on. And I was like, yeah, this just isn't for me. I need to get a real apartment, so at least I can have more of a say in what's happening in my kind of apartment, to where I don't have like people walking in and out that apartment at 3:30 in the morning when I have to be at work in the morning. Crazy stuff like that. And then you have your on-campus living,
which is just freaking clean up when you leave.
Yeah, essentially, like, on-campus living is awesome because you're around everybody. You're
not under contract.
You're not under contract. You don't have to stay.
June.
You don't have to do a whole bunch of things, but at the same time, because you're on campus, there's a lot of things that you just can't do.
Yes.
So like, even if it doesn't matter if you're 21, 23 and on campus living, if you have a dry campus, you can't have alcohol in your room, period.
And if you have a roommate, technically you're not allowed to have overnight guests. On most actually, I think it's at all campuses. Technically you're not. So, I mean, if they don't want someone in their room, you literally have no say. They have to leave.
Yeah.
So.
But then there's also like the median person that's always involved, which is your RAs. So
utilize them. They're all pretty nice for the most part. There are some, but like most RAs that I know.
Most of them care about you.
Yeah.
They want you to.
They actually care, or they don't want to deal with issues, so they're gonna try and squash it right
immediately.
When they can.
Exactly. Like if they have the ability to move you out and get you somewhere else, if
they
that's
will,
what you really need to,
because
they don't want to hear about you. They don't want to hear about you complaining all semester and filing a complaint like every 3 days about your roommate doing this, and the other roommate comes in and says that you did that, and this, and that, back and forth.
And dorms are really good for freshmen just because you're around everyone all the time. You get
to know people, and you get to know your campus. You even get to know yourself more.
Dorms are definitely a go-to for freshman year at least.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you like them, stay on them. They're pretty cheap. If you plan to go home every summer, a dorm's probably your best bet anyway. I live here now, so.
Yeah, if you plan to go home every summer, people are always gonna want to go get like the newest, best dorm.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna suggest you do that. Cause like what really comes down to it is if you pay attention to what you're paying like roughly, I don't know, for some dorms you can pay like $6,000.
Yeah,
I think, and for like the entire year, which is a bit ridiculous.
I think the apartment ones were like $2,600 a semester, something like that, and that's for like 4 or 5 months. August, September, October. So that's 4 months.
November. Yeah, that's 4 months.
4 months. You're paying $2,600.
$26, $24, somewhere in that range. But
that's
it's
like
4 people paying that.
Yeah, 4 people paying the $2,600. So that's
like what? That's like 10. That's almost 10 grand.
That's over 10 grand. Over 10 grand
for 4 months of living.
For a 2-bedroom apartment where you have 4 people living in it.
See. So you have that kind of stuff, but then you also get, if you do,
you get free laundry, and you get like
study areas, common areas. You get
that nobody
to be
uses.
Not really. If you really wanna, it's really awesome about like getting to hang out with people and do stuff. Or if like you have a campus that's,
you're paying for convenience.
Yeah, really, that's what it is.
That's
you're paying for convenience, and you're paying for, also there's the safety aspect.
Yes.
If you're on campus, 9 times out of 10, I don't really know too many other places where you live off campus and be safer than on campus.
No, I mean my apartment, I've realized that it's right next to the sheriff of Mobile because there are 2 of his cars outside of the apartment at all times. So I feel a little bit safe, but like I still don't know what unit he's in.
Yeah, but
campus is definitely a lot more.
Campus is always not always, but most times, more times than not, it's gonna be safer than you living on your own if you're worried about that kind of stuff. There's, as we said, there's less responsibility for things like that, but then at the same time, there's all the drawbacks of like you have
less responsibilities, but you have less freedom.
You have less responsibilities, you have less freedom, and then you kind of have a say in what happens in your dorm, but really it's more of the university that gets the last say on what happens.
Yeah, like if you and your roommate don't like each other and you want to move out, but they don't have any units available, you're stuck with your roommate for a while.
Yeah, but then you could technically break the contract for wherever it is, but then you have to go find an apartment.
Yeah,
and
that's
stuff.
a pain in the butt.
Pain in the butt. If you like live in a student apartment, or even if you live in a regular apartment, what's really awesome about it is that you can get somebody to cover your lease.
Yeah, you could sublease it out, or you could be like, hey, take over my lease, and they just have to sign a piece of paper, and you're
Yeah,
like,
and then you're good. You're gonna walk away from it.
you're like, bye.
But you don't really get that benefit if you live on campus. But there's a lot of different living
Pros and
situations.
cons.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different things that you get to value and see
Yeah.
what really matters to you in the end. For me personally, I love living in an apartment. If I could, I would live in probably not a house, but like a townhouse.
Yeah.
That like, so I don't have to cut grass and stuff. Not because I don't like cutting grass, but because of the fact that like I don't want to have to get the stuff to cut the grass.
Yeah, I don't want to have to buy the lawnmower
Exactly.
and all that stuff. Yeah.
And I don't want to have to pay somebody to do it all the time either.
That's why I like my apartment right now, because it's a 2-story apartment, so
Yeah.
it feels a little bit more like a townhome.
It's like
but
a
I
town-
don't have to cut the grass.
Yeah, like Leslie in the South is a sexually ambiguous name, because I know a lot of
Yes.
guys. I've met guys named Leslie.
When I was younger, I used to wish my name was Alex all the time,
Why?
because I thought it was cool that girls would have boys.
Stupid.